Mike, what was it like dealing with your board?
Well, the board is constantly changing, and of course, if I had to do it all over again, I would, do some things differently in terms of trying to get the people who were the early adopters and who were the pushers and the people that were the influence makers on my board, and then getting them to pass that on to board members who were going to remain as a new election took place. And we didn't get that part done, as well as it should have been done. And but again, I think getting the board to understand that there are going to be some there is going to be some pushback from the community. There's going to be some misunderstanding, and getting them mentally prepared for that. I think in concept, I can sit down and say, don't we want to engage kids? Don't we want to get kids doing where they don't know what time it is when the bell rings, what they're passionate about, and on and on. And I can talk the talk, and you're going, yeah, that's what we want to do. But then when the real nuts and bolts, what about the grades, and what about the GPA, and what about how am I going to get online to check and see if my kid's actually learning anything, and on, and all those questions start coming. I probably didn't do a very good job of keeping them informed ahead of time, as to what we were getting done and what were some of the problems we were encountering. I think if they know, they're much more likely to handle it than if they get hit with it on the street. And so just that communication piece that every superintendent struggles with, trying to communicate with 7 guys, some who have emails, some who don't, some who have cell phones, some who don't make all the meetings and the trainings, and some who are on there to fire the coach, and all that. It's a difficult piece to try to communicate what's really important in your heart for kids to 7 different guys who all have their separate agendas. But that's one that is a huge thing, and you have to really, really work hard at it. And I probably didn't do near good enough job, So. I mean,
he says that, and I saw it from the other side. That, we provided the books to the board members, made presentations at board meetings and stuff,
did trainings,
and so often you could tell just by their body language. Okay, that they agreed with what you're saying, but really didn't have that interest in learning much more about it. And then, of course, when they started getting pressure from the community, from parents coming to them, then, oh my gosh, now I realize I should have studied that a little bit more, or understood a little bit more. But, that's not their job. That's when they need to send it back to us, and we better be able to explain it.
Yeah, we got to be able to know
what we're talking about. We're the ones that have studied it and researched it, and we better have the answers. They shouldn't necessarily be the ones that have it.
And I don't know, John, of course, a little bit, Wyrick, and I do too. But anyway, I do think, though, that part of, Ted and I both really fought the fight with the board on PBL and on some other personnel issues, and we stood up, and it about ruined both our health and everything else, but we did, and the board got tired of fighting us, and so, we both retired and on, and to John's credit, he's, stood up to them, and to a certain extent, and I think, and so they go like, okay, we don't want to go through this again, so we better maybe start listening and saying, okay, let the educators run the show, and we'll pass that over to them as we get this pressure, and we won't try to micromanage everything, and that's what we were constantly fighting with them about. And so, maybe it ultimately has done some good that we fought that good fight, so to speak,